Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. We're live. And sometimes I want to try for that easy fade and just cut it off. It's easier. Jump right in. All right. So today we've got some crazy ones. First, we're starting off with, I don't know if you saw, Tokyo is trying to institute a 4-day work week, which has a lot of people of the West jumping for change. The second one's going to be probably the hottest topic of the day. And that's how dogs of Chernobyl are offering an evolutionary insight. And hey, you can adopt your own radioactive dog today. Get yours. And we're going to wrap the episode up with how Doug is the most in the know about a Delta flight had a stowaway. She's an American resident, not a citizen, but a Russian National. So it's a sticky wicket.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we're gonna learn today. So in the pickle gallery, hanging out in the wing as always, Sound Destroyer. How you doing, my good friend?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. How's everybody doing today?
Good, brother. Good, brother. How's your day going?
Really fantastic. What about you guys?
Oh, dude. Ready to? I think we got some wild ones.
Yeah, it's a juicy one tonight. I'm excited for it.
And we're trying to stay clean. We're going to stay in our lane. Nothing that can trigger any algorithmic warlords. So we're going to be kind and juicy.
This is the family-friendly rethink tank.
Exactly.
PG-3. Yeah, PG.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
PG.
So we're going to see how this goes today. But hanging on the wing, couldn't do it without my co-host hanging with me today. Will Hubert, how you doing, Will?
Dude, I got the filter on. I feel good, man. Thanks for having
me. Yeah, like I said, we're testing our limits today. And as always, running the keys. Dougie, how you doing?
Oh, I'm just doing dandy today. It's going to be an interesting show, I think.
That's a lot of face right there, man.
It's a lot of face and a lot of Browns. Pride for a team that just lets us
It's a nice warm winter hat. What can I say? When you live in Cleveland, you have a lot of Browns gear. You got to put it to use.
The man's not wrong. So
one way to keep it family friendly is talk about the Browns. Now that's for sure.
Yeah, that won't get the blood pressure up or anything. All right, let's kick this bad boy off.
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, the first one kicking off our episode today is a hot topic, and it's got people jumping for change because the Tokyo government gives workers a 4-day work week to boost fertility and family time. The Japanese capital is set to introduce a 4-day work week for government employees in its latest push to help working mothers and boost record low fertility rates. So the Tokyo metropolitan government says the new arrangement, which begins in April, could give employees 3 days off every week. It separately announced another policy that will allow parents with children in grades 1 to 3 in elementary school to trade off a bit of their salary for the option to clock out early. Bro, what? Yeah, heaven forbid we make life more livable. That's great. Anyway, quote, we will review work styles with flexibility, ensuring no one has to give up their career due to life events such as childbirth and childcare, says Tokyo Governor Yuriko Kiyoki, which she unveiled the plan in a policy speech on Wednesday. Now is the time for Tokyo to take the initiative to protect and enhance the lives and livelihoods and the economy of our people during these challenging times, she said. So Japan's fertility rate, which has been a precipitous fall for the last many years, reached another record low in June, even as the government ramped up efforts to encourage young people to get married and start families. You're seeing similar things in like Italy. They're trying to, you could buy a home for $5 in Italy right now if you're like a male between like 20 and 35. Why are we here? No,
I was gonna say, why are we not doing this show in Italy?
I ask myself that every day, but there's clearly a downturn. Here's what's fun. And then I kick it off to you guys. Safe to say, I'm not going to say his name. Safe to say, Microsoft man, BG. What do you put on the front of a castle? Opening gates. That guy.
I was going to say a moat.
Yeah. Yes. Once you get through the crocodiles,
yeah,
you approach the gates.
The compound.
So that guy's goal has been very clear. He's got a problem with population. He's like Bill Burr. Like, he's made it very clear he's got a problem. It's nice to know he doesn't own Tokyo, because Tokyo is pushing back. For us, I got the numbers. We'll get to it, but it's like our fertility rate is dropping. And it's like, right, according to plan. Are we doing anything to fix it? No. Suffer more. So what are your thoughts on Tokyo making the shift?
You talk about us keeping it family friendly. I think Tokyo is keeping it family friendly. Their goal is only family right now. I've heard this topic brought up amongst people throughout the years. You have conversations with random people at a bar. 4-day work week gets brought up. Everybody loves it.
Yep.
How about you not? I mean, I think an issue people have, I myself run into, is the work-life balance. I know you probably do. Look at this studio, let alone the job you have. I can't see this country making that switch, though, for the reasons they are, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. These will never be the reasons. And truthfully, what you pick on the most is, if anything, it would be for financial reasons. Mm-hmm. And the way our economy is crafted currently, there's no world it becomes a financial reason.
Right. Like I almost say kudos to them looking at I guess you could say have their country kind of flourish in order to start populating more. So they started looking towards unique ways of doing so. Like, for instance, in this country, I wouldn't have thought 4-day work week. Like, that's what would, trigger that to start. Maybe for them, like, you always hear, like, they're very dedicated to their work over there. So, I mean, if they brought it to the Western world, you're not going to hear complaints out of me.
We're not going to talk about the YouTube WWE star because, there's an asterisk with this whole deal. Yes. But many sociologists attribute the ever-plunging birth rates in Japan to unforgiving work cultures, rising costs of living, grueling hours, and this has resulted in a problem for corporate Japan, where workers often suffer from health hazards, in extreme cases, karoshi, a term meaning unalived by overworking. So, one, that's the negative element to this kind of community and its expectations and standards. But one of the things I wanted to draw upon that you really kind of hammered home is, if you want to see the closest iteration of the human come before the hive.
Right.
And so what's one of the coolest things about Japan is you could go there and you will see no trash. One of the cleanest areas. If you were to throw trash on the ground, it doesn't matter who they are. The people around you would self-police this whole thing and correct that behavior immediately.
Right.
So while there's all these negative elements to the culture, it's this very communal hive type society. And it shouldn't then surprise us that they're putting the fertility and nurturing and health of their homes and their communities, the population, before the dollar and the economy. So is there look at South Korea. South Korea is more of a juvenile country, and they are a more modern economy. They're a pivotal piece of the world economy. So same size, if not maybe potentially a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller than Japan. And Japan doesn't mind. Japan's not this country that needs to be, the leader in the world. We want to build a place that is kind of like a utopia. And it seems in many ways they're the closest to that. But when we talk about Europe, you want to talk about Switzerland, when it comes to world policies, people always love drawing upon these small countries. We have to very much remind ourselves that they can't really be total examples, templates for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of the United States is it's really 50 countries in one. But if one of these states, go open up your dictionary for once. Look what a state means. We forget that. State is a little government. So when your little government, Ohio, Kansas, California, whatever, decides we're doing this, or the minimum wage is up by this, people are going to want to move there. But you're going to see, how does that affect the whole? I mean, we could talk out the theory. What does that look like for the mass, the entire United States, to implement something like this?
That's why I don't necessarily see it feasible here. I think, unlike Japan, we are a very selfish country. Our needs outweigh the country's needs. I've never once thought about the country's needs before my own. Whereas I think in Japan, like you said, like just littering alone, that means something to them to not do so, let alone, getting rid of one day of work a week to try and populate your nation more. I couldn't even, the selfish reasons that we would do so would just be, oh yeah, we get another day of the weekend. But for them, it's for a purpose. And I wouldn't be surprised if other nations over there start implementing this. I mean, Japan kind of likes to view themselves probably as an innovator.
Well, let's just say you feel this could really flourish your lifestyle, and you want to try to negotiate that. Let's say you put yourself in your American shoes, and you want to try to negotiate that in your next employment. One of the major things you're going to run into is, no, we don't have to.
Right.
Because somebody else is going to take your job, and there's no other competitor that's offering that. And truthfully, we've become so polarized as an economy that there really is no competitor.
Right.
So It's one of those, I'm Google. I don't want to. Guess what I did? I gave you a nap corner and a basketball court. Do with it what you will, but I want your ass in that seat 40 hours a week. And guess what? If you're still not done by the deadlines, somebody else wants to take a nap in my corner. So you're going to go 45 hours this week. I'm going to pay you for 40. And you're going to get to brag you're on the Google campus.
What level of stress are the Japanese citizens under that, for instance, we are? Because again, I can never see us going from 5 to 4. They're going from 5 to 4 for a stressful reason that they're considering stressful. And like you mentioned in your monologue, what our population.
So let's get to that. So so Japan's out here and they go, wow, our numbers are going way down. Guess what? Ours are worse.
Yep.
Yes. The fertility rate in the United States has been declining. And in 2023, it reached a historic low. The fertility rate in the United States was 54.4 births per 1,000 women ages 15 to 14 or 15 to 44. Oops. I'm just
family friendly, folks.
15 to 44 in 2023 and 3% decline from 2022. This is less than
3%
yeah.
in a single year.
Oh, dude, just wait. A 3% decline from 2022. This is a less than half of the rate from in 1957 when it was 122.9 births per 1,000 women. So much more. Okay, the fertility rate has been declining since 2007, which was the start of the Great Recession. From 2014 to 2020, the rate decreased by 2% annually. So breaking it down by race, the fertility rate declined across most race and ethnicity groups. Hispanics, the fertility rate for Hispanic women fell by 1% to 65 births per 1,000 women. American Indian and Alaska Native, the fertility rate fell by 5%. Black fertility rates fell by 3%. Asian and white fertility rates also fell by 3%. So some factors that may contribute to the decline in fertility rate include social expectations about parenting, zoning regulations that limit housing density, and people deciding to have children, but not yet. Idiocracy. The declining fertility rate could have significant economic consequences, including fewer workers per capita, challenges to the fiscal sustainability of public benefit programs, and slower improvements in living standards. So we're experiencing it here, and that's what I mean. I can't say the guy's name, but like the pearly gates is sitting there going, this is exactly what we wanted. And we're like, wait, guy, we're losing people. Can we fix this with a more sustainable lifestyle? No, because that's been the plan the whole time.
I like how you listed all those reasons, and not one of them said 5-day work week. And it's like, speaking of he who shouldn't be named, you think too, it's like you talk about like one of the reasons was zoning. Sounds like he's buying a lot of land.
The most?
A lot of less land for potential starting families to use. I don't see any law being passed for that.
Nope.
But 4-day work week?
You're asking too much.
you're asking so much.
I know. All right. He's been hanging on way too long. Silent, what are your thoughts on this whole ordeal? We can't hear you, brother.
Okay, I have a lot to say about this because Spain has been doing a 4-day work week for the last 3 years now.
Who has?
Spain.
Oh.
The country?
Well, guess what? They're also shooting squirt guns at tourists. So,
and shutting down B&Bs.
Yeah, they can't handle an Airbnb. But please continue. Tell me how good Spain is.
Well, the positive things to come out of Spain, other than every single thing that you just said, is because of the 4-day work week over there, people have had more time to, cook and clean and take care of themselves and do hobbies and, reduce their stress. And because of that, there's been a very highly reported cases of people just being overall much happier in their workplace and way more productive, by the way, in the 4 days than the 5 days. Because
so they had plenty of time to clean the cobblestone. We got to also remember they're living in the past.
Right.
There's no evolution coming from Spain. Hey, Spain.
Right.
How's like nuclear energy looking? And they're like, but I cleaned my dresser.
He just mentioned, he's just like, yeah, they get happier. I was like, yeah, it's not passing here.
Yeah.
It's not passing here, man.
We don't care about happiness. Sorry, Silent. Please continue.
Yeah, because look, this will work in Japan. It will, because Japan is a we society and not a me society like North America. North America is a me society, as you guys pointed out and said. And if you don't realize this, please go visit Japan and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Or you can even just watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos and you'll see it. Because at the end of the day, this will work, in my opinion, in Japan. It will, because Japan is a we society, not a me society. Now, will it boost population? I personally don't think so. I think it will definitely reduce stress, just like it did in Spain, and it will give a lot of people way more time to, do other things that they want to do. But is that extra activity going to be, get married, have kids? Probably not. I don't think so, personally, because as we discussed, having kids is a very, costly thing. Like the price of everything is just gone up, even in Japan. Like Japan is obviously still way cheaper than Canada or the US, but it's still, compared to their salaries, very expensive to live in big cities in Japan and like anywhere in the country that has a big population, really. So at the end of the day, I think it's a step in the right direction, definitely. But I don't think that it's actually going to boost the birth rates,
Dude,
in
look at Rick.
Japan like
Can you
they think
read
it is.
Ricky's
Yeah.
comment for us?
Yeah, they could get a woman to do all the cooking, cleaning. I mean,
It's very European.
very European. Yeah,
It's just tradition.
yeah. I mean, and exactly, like at the end of the day, if you think about it, as long as it's more profitable for the company's bottom line, companies will do this. Will they do it in America? Probably not. I don't think so. At least not in the near future. Maybe in like 10 years, or 15 years. I could see something like that happening. But soon, I personally don't think so. But I know for a fact that in Japan, I'm sure a lot of people will see like, way more positives than negatives in this case. But will one of those positives be more people birthed? I personally don't think so.
So let me ask you this, and I want to just flush it out more directly, because our end of the dialogue heavily weighs towards the American perspective. So how reasonable, I mean, I don't know if you saw what people were yelling at your prime minister guy on Twitter, but I'm just curious. If you didn't go to Twitter, things are funny. But I'm curious, do you think this is something you could see happen quicker in Canada? And if so, how much more reasonable and sooner do you think you could find it there? Because there's also, while I do think the motive is there, the spirit of wanting to be that progressive country is in Canada, but the modality to accomplish it, dude, first off, everybody's running in a different direction, because you've literally got so many different, like when I say Kansas is different than California, holy cow, is Quebec different? That, like, dude, you've got different countries. So first off, everybody's running in different directions, but then, dude, are we going to pretend? How much goldfish memory do we have that we're going to just forget like the trucker situations and the elements that kind of stumble those developments? So I said, I think the spirit is there much harder and stronger than we have it. But at the same time, there's a lot of hurdles in the way that I think might slow it down quicker than us. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I personally don't think the 4-day work week will happen in Canada anytime soon either. I mean, we have a lot of political turmoil, as you just spoke about. We're not going to get too much into that, but to sum it up, essentially, our finance minister quit or got fired, depending on who you ask, and because of that, our government that's in power, the Liberal Party, is in a fiasco. Like it's a zoo there, unfortunately, right now. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. We have an election coming next year, right, in 2025. So unless, of course, they do a no confidence vote and then it happens sooner. But I personally don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
So wait, is JT running again?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, man.
He probably is, most likely.
Bye.
Yeah, he's like, if you look at all the polls,
fucking sync, dude.
If you look at all the unofficial polls, yeah, he's cooked. He's done, right? Like he's nowhere near winning again, right? And to answer your question, I really don't see it happening anytime soon in Canada. Will it happen in the future? Maybe, but I think what Canadian businesses now need is capital. We need more investment into Canadians, into people, into businesses. A lot of the reason why Canada suffers and our GDP has, decoupled from the US's GDP and the US's productivity is because our companies and our government have failed to incentivize capital flowing into companies. They've just made it harder for companies. So what do companies do? They're going to take that money and invest it elsewhere. And that's the unfortunate part.
I mean, that's a major piece to it too. What were you thinking?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, like, again, a lot of the struggles that Silent said about his country similar to what we are. Speaking of like the economy needing to increase labor,
Mhm.
and it's like Japan. I don't know much about their politics, but I can imagine for considerable time now, all that working hours, the stress, like you mentioned in your sheet, like that level of stress is something that is brought upon by work. What is something that you notice that is happening more often in this country because of events from 4 years ago? And it's remote working.
Yeah.
I could see, I can't see what it would be, but I could see something forcing the country to go to let's do a test run of a 4-day work week just because something happened. Don't know what it could be. And that kind of trigger it in the steps rather than our country being able, like how Japan did, was like, we need to increase population.
Well, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna toe this line lightly, but it's not like any numbers are looking at us favorably that I should toe the line.
Right, I get you.
But I'm sitting here and I just want to point people to the news. I don't know how much of it I'm going to say right now, but there is a series of viruses that have been lost from a lab. Have you heard about this?
No.
Dude, it's insane. It is literally insane. There are 100 vials of something, another thing of something, 2 more things of something, and it's like, don't look over here. So again, it takes one of those because it happened once before, and then they were like, anybody that says otherwise is going to be a YouTube channel on a list somewhere, and then it just turns out to be true, and they were like, oh, that dirty old thing, yeah, whoopsie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like for our countries on the western side of the world, it would be something like that. That
Yeah,
would compel the essentially the government to say like we have to go to 4-day work week, and that would implement it because it's like I never heard of anybody doing a lot of remote work prior to the events of 4 years ago until after, and then you hear it all the time. I know tons of people, they never go into work, they just always work from home. You know,
Doug's
yours
dying
truly over there on the keyboard, the disc jockey.
Hey, what's that show you finished?
I mean, what show? I've watched a lot of shows since I started remote work.
One Piece.
One Piece.
Oh,
yeah.
One Piece. Yeah, I watched all of One Piece.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm missing. If I was able to have an extra,
because
if I could have
they
a
know
Friday
what they're
off.
getting. They know what they're getting.
Right.
So okay, the Friday off, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's
so
all
let's
it
be
is.
real. Deep down, they're gonna make you sit there at home on your computer, paying you for 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
But they know they're really getting 6 hours of work out of you. That's where you'll get
6
your
hours. I would say is generous. I would
I'm
say
sure
at best 4.
No, I gotta be real with you. There's enough software being developed as we speak that's almost ensuring that like you will be productive. Right now it's the wild west of this development and everybody's comfortable, everybody's watching One Piece and having a dandy old time.
Well, I watch
but-
while I'm working.
Oh yeah. But now we live
we
in a
get
world, we live in a world where there's software that could show exactly where your mouse has gone. So we have a friend that he has a software that literally just moves the mouse back and forth. So that way,
There's mouse jigglers on
There's
Amazon.
a software to
Yeah.
track that though now. too.
exactly. That's where I was going with that, Doug. Is 2 years ago, newest thing, no one's seen it. 2 years later, now they got a software that can find that and is looking for that. So I think you're going to have to be a lot more productive than you could get away with now, but it's not going to be so productive. They got to make it comfortable. So I don't think you're going to see a 4-day work week where you have a day off. It's I own you, baby. You're going to sit there, but I'll make it comfortable. You're going to sit there in your PJs on your couch watching One Piece.
And true, that could be the first step towards it, or that could be what it is, but I firmly do believe it would take something of like a very serious, almost close to national emergency kind of restructure for it to happen. Whereas opposed to Japan, I would say logically, like I'm not sure necessarily I agree with it. I wouldn't care much for a 4-day work week. Like it's something like I would entertain the idea of, but for them to have like the conversations to be like, why are you doing this? It's for this reason. So more of our young men and women could have kids and start a family. Could never imagine a world in which the United States and even Canada come to that reason to do so.
Oh yeah, and so again, we'll bring it back, but to get lost in a little side piece here, the chief of commanders, the Orange Man, his intention is to get rid of daylight savings time, and now and it's so funny how like random the people, like it's such a random collection of people that are like all over it, and I mean, really, guys,
Is
you're
there a purpose
upset.
to it? And not to
There
cut you
is a
off, but
purpose
there-
to it, and
yeah,
I'll get
that's
to
what
it.
I get.
I'll
Okay,
get to it.
okay.
But like, first off, let's acknowledge that you're upset that it gets dark at 5. That is so much less daylight savings and so much more. It's winter. That's actually like what the solstice is mean. Like, dude, they've been chiseling it for 2,000 years. You're at this point of where the floating rock of fire is in relation to your floating rock you domesticate. So that's the relationship here. And so when you're upset it's dark when you want it to be light, it's so much less the random hour and so much more just the season. So what is daylight savings time intended to accomplish? When we bring this back, I want to get to the history of the 5-day work week and why we're at where we're at. And, you know, so much of this being an embedded piece of our culture and a skeleton to how we see economies that we don't think we can really change because we don't have the imagination. You know, we'll get to how we got to the 5-day work week, but something that walks right in tandem with that is why we have daylight savings, which is I need to lock you down and work you like a machine. But why did we get a 5-day work week? Because we needed to whittle down the working conditions so it's palatable and enjoyable for the drones that we have to manage. So one of the elements to that motive is, do you know how much harder it is to go to work when it's black dark out? Every morning, your employee is questioning what they're doing and why they're doing it. No way. Make it light. Why? Wake their ass up. Make them be productive. Do not let them hate themselves until they're going home. They can wallow in their pasta, but they don't get to think about it here because I need to keep them domicile and working. So while that is the motive, it works. Would I rather go home as it's getting dark, or would I rather go to work at night? Huh? Also, guys, come on. The one night, it's kind of like, I don't know, bank interest. You're taking a little bit now so you can have a nice little payout later. It's really nice losing an hour that you don't really notice. And then this magical night comes about where we get this fantastical free hour. Man, you're telling me I gave up sleep in the past so I could get paying to extra strong duty sleep in the future? Oh my God, future me loves the shit past me didn't even notice. So I don't get the logic of people that are like, yeah, get rid of it, beyond the fact that you already hate your job and you hate this period of the time and you're casting it all on daylight savings time, which revolves around a period of darkness, whether it's before work or after work. What the?
No, I was going to say, so like with my job, I have to work with clients cross country. The worst thing ever is the state of Arizona, because part of that state doesn't observe daylight savings, or does, and the rest of the state doesn't. So like at one point, even though they're in the same time zone, one part of the state might be an extra hour ahead or behind
That's
the
crazy.
rest of the state. Oh, it's so annoying. I never know the right time to call. So it's really annoying.
Wake their ass up,
Yeah,
man.
just call them.
Wake them up. If I'm up, you're up.
Doug calls wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
So let's get to the origin of the 5-day work week. So the 5 days of work and 2 days of play is how most Americans structure their lives. But the 40-hour work week and 5 days of work wasn't enshrined until the passage of the Fair Labor Act in 1938. The law was the culmination of more than a century of American workers fighting for shorter hours, better wages, and safer working conditions. This spans across, multiple elements. And again, to keep it short, in 1898 is when you first started seeing a push in Massachusetts with, a labor bulletin. But then you see other evolutions in the beginning of World War I, where there's a need for, mass labor, and it finally put more power in the workers' hands. And through striking, they were able to get some evolution there. But the major change and what has kind of been the bedrock and standard we've experienced since was with Henry Ford, as he created an industry standard with the car manufacturing. So in 1913, Henry Ford's Highland Park plant became the first to employ the company's groundbreaking assembly line technology. While the assembly line was able to produce cars radically faster and cheaper than ever before, it was also backbreaking repetitive work. Just months after opening, workers were quitting at such a fast rate that the labor turnover at Hyde Park was at 380%. Ford's irresistible offer was a $5 at 8-hour workday. The way they wrote this was weird. It was at $5 for 8 hours a workday, almost twice the pay for less work than before. As part of the deal, workers at Highland Park had to consent to inspections by the company's sociological department, which flagged workers for drinking or reading radical pro-union radical material.
So they were censoring back then too?
Wild. As early as 1922, the Ford Motor Company took steps towards the creation of a 40-hour work week, 5 8-hour days, and 2 days on the weekend. Every man, he said, needs more than 1 day a week for rest and recreation. The decision was about more than just happy workers, but it was the institution of the philosophy later called Fordism. Under Fordism, mass production requires mass consumption. Ford wanted his workers to be well paid and well rested, so they would use their leisure time to buy more things, including, you guessed it, cars. Ford officially adopted a 5-day, 40-hour work week in 1926. Since Ford was the most influential industrialist of his day, other large companies followed his lead, aka he dictated the market to where it needed to be. Now, everything became solidified with FDR and the Fair Labor Standards Act. So when President Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected in 1932, the nation, in the throes of the Great Depression, was experiencing unemployment at 25%. 1 in every 4 Americans was out of work. To meet this incredible challenge, FDR appointed Francis Perkins.
Francis Perkins, yes.
Not Francis. Francis
Francie
Perkins as his Secretary of Labor. Perkins was the first female cabinet member. Oh, now we're in trouble. In the United States history, and committed workers' rights, and was a committed workers' rights advocate.
Let's just give a quick clap for Francie.
Yes. Way to go, Francie. World's proud of you. Trailblazer. Ceilings broken like crazy. Glass everywhere.
Stunning and brave.
Together with allies in Congress, FDR and Francie passed the National Industrial Recovery Act in 1933. The sweeping New Deal legislation addressed the most pressing labor issues of the day. It established a federal minimum wage of $12 to $15 a week. $15 a week. Prohibited child laborers younger than 16 years old and capped the work week at 40 hours. But the trailblazing labor law didn't survive. 2 years later, in 1935, the Supreme Court struck down the National Industrial Recovery Act as unconstitutional. Somebody there was drinking beers at 16. I got a hunch.
Wait, what year? In what year?
1935.
Oh, okay.
Perkins and FDR spent the next 3 years fighting the courts and critics in Congress to claw back the gains that were lost. A major victory came in 1936 with the Public Contracts Act, a law that required most federal contractors to adhere to a 40-hour work week. However, finally, in 1938, FDR and Francie were able to push through the Fair Labor Standards Act, the FLSA, The original version of the law capped the work week at 44 hours. It also created the first federal rules for overtime pay. Cha-ching, bay. Any hours worked beyond 44 hours must be compensated at 1.5 times the regular hour rate. FULSA stipulated that the work week would be reduced to 42 hours after 1 year and then 40 hours after 2 years. The 40-hour day, 5-day work week has then been the standard in America ever since. Yeehaw. Thanks to Francie and FDR.
It makes sense.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, those two.
Right. So, Silent, give us your wrapping thoughts.
Yeah, as I said before, this will definitely benefit Japan a lot. It will happen in Japan. Don't think it'll happen in North America because we are a me society, not a we society. It's probably going to take a long, long time for it to happen here. And as you guys touched on earlier too, there's a lot of remote roles now or remote jobs where they don't really care if you're working 8 hours a day or not, as long as you crank out X amount of performance at the end of the week. That's all they care about. And in my opinion, I think that's the way it should be moving forward. For most jobs, obviously, you can't really do that because a lot of jobs actually depend on you physically being there and physically doing work. But generally speaking, more blue-collar jobs, usually, you can probably get away with, okay, I don't actually need to sit here in this office and work 8 hours. As long as I, write this report or compose these emails and have these 20 meetings, I should be good, And that's, I think, what it's going to move to in the future. Not anytime soon. Maybe 10, 15 years, but not in the next few years.
No, I love where your head is at. I mean, right now it feels like an imagination, but that's where the creative, mind needs to take our economy is in like a stalemate, locked into where it's at. And one of the things that would be great to see, yes, of course, staying at home and all these other iterations, but I can appreciate in the next 15 years, you'll see a lot of change. And I think it's because, again, I always lean on the human hive, but we're hearing what's going on in Japan, right? So this is a little island on the other side of this thing. And part of their problem is communication. Why did, Ford put such an effort into policing the material his workers were watching or reading? Because, again, that's how they can manipulate and control what best benefits them. I think as we get more exposed to each other, this is an inevitable evolution. But at the same time, competition is what's going to diffuse all of this. And so if nobody in the marketplace is offering it, or it just continues to go the other direction, we're at their mercy unless we all bound together and strike. I don't know. I can appreciate that thought. My wrapping thought is going to be one of the things you had said earlier, Will, was like, I don't know if I would do this or if it matters to me or if I would stay. If you were to approach me with this, I would say this is something I would want. And it's because I want my time.
Right.
Like I'm at a point in my life and in my pursuits that what is so much more valuable to me than the check is my time. And so if you were to take my exact check and give me 4/5 of it, I'm telling you I can make more on the offside. And I think that's why. I mean, that is quite literally why we don't live that world, because it gives you just enough time to make the whatever you get birthed into this world and they beat you down so you will be a good worker, and they craft your thinking and your development in such a way to be a worker. And then they say, look at this. You have all the freedoms. The juiciest part is you could pick any one of these hamster wheels. Which hamster wheel looks the most enticing? And you get in your wheel and you run forever. And then they give you just enough time to make life in that hamster wheel livable. And truthfully, we're feeling the strain. It's becoming less and less and less and less livable. But they'll never give you enough time to run that wheel and then maybe have a side wheel.
Right.
Maybe develop yourself in another way that you become self-sufficient, because then you're just another competitor in the marketplace that they're trying to suffocate. If we were playing the game Monopoly and I owned a quarter or a third of the board, the last thing I need to do is make the game more more available for random street goers to also jump in the game.
Right.
No, I want you just running the map. Get excited about, getting drunk on the weekend, because then you're far from productive in a way that you'll break out of the hamster wheel and rise above this. So the sad part is we only saw this little breadcrumb, this little development, a 5-day work week, because there was an actual pressure on the market. The market does not feel that anymore. And it's developing in weird ways. We've talked about remote working and just there, who knows where this ends, but it's going to require the masses to come together and because again, we're turning into idiocracy. Fertility's down, morons are popping out everywhere. And if we can't come together and stand true to this, they hold all the cards. And again, that's inevitable. So really get the best at playing this game. Don't get lost in the imagination of a world that will never probably be.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm with you. Like if someone offered me that, I would take that deal. The reality is I find the reason Japan's doing it bizarre in an admirable way, because I could not see this country doing that because of the market and the competition and the fact that, like you said, that hamster wheel needs to be spinning at all times. And that's what they want. In Japan, they must be at like a critical freak out for them to be really doing this. If you really are to ask me, even though our fertility rate is down, I don't see this country freaking out or even remotely coming close to freaking out at all. In their mind, they're like, keep it going as it is. In 10 years, things might change. And you want to know what the sick part is? They're probably right.
Maybe though, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but for Japan to be doing it, they must be.
No, you're right. It will. They'll see a difference, and it will have a positive impact on their community. But then, some 22-year-old in a college class is going to continue to draw upon that as a case study and ignore the fact that it's so much more applicable in a small population versus en masse.
Well, what if it's say for Japan, and I'm not going to use our country as an example. I'm just strictly talking about them. Say they go to the 4-day work week. Fertility rate isn't increasing at all. It's kind of still the same. They're all just a bunch of incels over there. They don't want to do it.
Get your ass back.
No. What if they're like, what about 3? What about a 3-day week? It's like that give an inch, take a mile. I couldn't see them doing that, knowing how they view work culture over there. But, if that happened here, guarantee you immediately in 10 years from now, they'd be like, what about a 3-day work week?
Yep.
Why not?
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Doug, wrapping thought.
I definitely don't sadly ever see this happening here. I would love it. We're all in agreement. We would all kind of love having that extra day, but I just don't see it happening here unless kind of Will said, something like the pandemic is what drove the work from home. People realize you can do your job from home, but missing a day of work and still getting everything done, I don't know. People got to prove, I guess, to their bosses that they can get their stuff done in 4 days.
People got to eat.
Good luck, Doug. We wish you the best. You're the one closest to it. All right. Moving on to the next subject here. Chernobyl dogs are experiencing rapid evolution, according to biologists. For decades, scientists have studied animals living in or near the Chernobyl nuclear power plant to see how increased levels of radiation affect their health, growth, and evolution. A study analyzed the DNA of 302 feral dogs living near the power plant, compared the animals to other living animals within the 10 mile radius, and found remarkable differences. While the study doesn't prove that radiation is the cause of these differences, the data provides an important first step in analyzing these irradiated populations and understanding how they compare to dogs living elsewhere. The study uncovered that feral dogs living near the Chernobyl power plant showed distinct genetic differences from dogs living only some 10 miles away. While this may seem to heavily imply that dogs have undergone some type of rapid mutation, the evolution due to radiation exposure in this study is only the first step of proving that hypothesis. One environmental scientist says that these studies can be tricky, largely due to the fact that sussing out radiation-induced mutations from other effects like inbreeding is incredibly difficult. However, the study provides a template for the further investigation into the effects of radiation on larger mammals, as the DNA of dogs roaming the Chernobyl power plant and nearby Chernobyl city can be compared to dogs living in non-irradiated areas. Despite a current lack of firm conclusions, the study has grown once again that an area that, by all rights, should be a wasteland has become an unparalleled scientific opportunity to understand radiation and its impact on natural evolution. And don't stop there. You can get your own radioactive Chernobyl dog today. That's right. They have adoption proceedings. There's a whole organization that goes there. You can throw on the hazmat suit and go feed you some puppies, but then also take one home with you. Ignore the growth growing on your neck. The dog loves it. He licks it.
They're also, I saw some online, they make a vodka from wheat grown in the exclusion zone. That's a big thing now, too.
Yep, people are buying that on big.
That's so cool.
I mean, here's what's crazy. They try to sell you on like it's not, the radiation isn't as bad. It's really just, especially if you're there for a short time. But I know that there are agencies in place that are, and I know firsthand, that they are invested in policing people leaving Chernobyl with radioactive material. I mean, from bikes to, a basketball, because you can use the nuclear waste to create nuclear W's, blah, blah, blah. So we're trying to keep it clean. I'm trying my
family
best.
friendly. Bang, bang.
I didn't do that.
I know.
So, so there's this whole, I don't know, military objective in preventing people from leaving with handlebars. But you're telling me I could get myself a puppy?
Or buy vodka?
Yeah, that's
vodka
who
one's
is
even
testing
most-
that?
the
I mean,
vodka one's more
truth
concerning.
is, you'd buy it, you'd be crazy to drink it, you put it on your shelf. Now, you just made the bourbon you have right next to it also a problem. Why is that in your house?
Why would you get the dog from over there?
Crazy to me.
Like, you have the local puppy mill, and then you're like, but you know what really needs a home? The one in Chernobyl.
So while the biologists point out that there's this curiosity about how much of it is inbreeding, there has been enough of a genetic variation that it isn't just straight only inbreeding. There's enough genetic variation that it's somewhat of a population, and it's ever increasing to aid that situation. So one of the more miraculous pieces that they continue to draw upon is how that this is a wasteland that should be unlivable, and here's a growing population that is somehow thriving to a certain capacity. A dog that lives till over 10, that's a winning dog.
Yes.
And if that's the lifespan, which it is for these Chernobyl dogs, then that isn't far off from your Snickers that's living, or Poochie Poo that's living in your living room.
I just don't. All right. I hear what they're saying. I'm just thinking, is the dog surviving that long because it's in the inclusion zone? You know what I mean?
Well, the truth is, again, let's look at generational cycles. If you're looking at a generational cycle of 10 years, and Chernobyl was in 1986, so you're looking at 40 years of evolution. That's 4 generations. So really, you're looking at like, yeah, they've been here. They're talking about, nothing's come or gone. The other isolated populations that live all around it, or it's a 10-mile radius. They're outside of 10 miles. So you're looking at a population that has lived there and has gone through probably at least 10 generations, and probably, 5, maybe 6, because I'm sure they all weren't living that long. It took genetic variation. Right. So it's an interesting thing where we have all these fantastical movies about, the monsters that live in the ponds there. But like, here's a dog, and they're saying you could buy one with a bottle of vodka.
Oh my God. Could you imagine buying? That's the deal. Buy a dog, get 2 bottles, or get a case.
Get a case. Then you're just bringing home a giant battery.
All right. Let me ask you, would you be more concerned about adopting the dog or the vodka? Dude,
I'm getting neither.
I'm just saying, if you had to
my
pick,
wiener dog misdemeanor is sufficient.
If you had to pick, say like you got to go on a tour, got the tour Chernobyl, got to see it for like they said, short time, 5-hour tour, drove around Pripyat, all of those places.
5-hour tour.
And they're like, hey, at the end, you get one of 2 things, a dog or a case of vodka. Both born and raised here. Which one you picking?
You're saying I have to take one?
Yes, you got to take one. You don't need to do anything with it. It's just a strict hypothetical. Which one are you taking?
I'd love to see that thing at a dog park. I'm going to go with the dog.
you take it to a dog park and goes after one dog, and all of a sudden you see its teeth, and it's like green, like lime green, like
just turns into the mask when the dog puts on the mask.
Easy, Cujo, easy.
Hey, Silent, what are you thinking from your corner of the world? What do you got on this whole ordeal?
I would take the dog. Just saying.
Yeah,
like dog or case, man.
I would take the dog too. Yeah, it's honestly fascinating because this just reassures something that many of us know: nature heals. Nature has its way. Like nature will always prevail and always find a way. Just like how
great point.
You see plants coming straight out of the concrete. Like nature will always find a way. And I think this study is going to be very interesting to us, really truly understanding the effects of fallout and nuclear, nuclear
Right.
effects and all that. And it's going to be very interesting, all of the studies that will get, found from Chernobyl and all the other things that can come out of there. But it just goes to show, I think, that a lot of this stuff is just blown way out of proportion and exaggerated to the max. And a lot of it, unfortunately, is done on purpose so that they can scare people away from the actual reality that is, certain companies, big oil, don't want nuclear, power plants to become a thing again. And for that reason, they have used a lot of these scare campaigns of like, oh, this is, there's the radiation, there's the where do we store the fuel. But in reality, we have a lot of solutions for those things. And this is a very, very important case study into pushing humanity further towards the direction of nuclear, which I think we should have been innovating and working on for the past 20, 30 years, instead of being scared of the fallout and being scared of, advancing it and innovating it to a point to where it's very efficient.
I can appreciate the excitement of new scientific potential. But the curious part is, how much value does it provide us? I mean, at the same time, how much different is what they're living in far from what a 4-year-old at Ronald McDonald House is getting pumped with at chemo treatment, right? Like that's straight up radiation. And so I believe there's a cure out there. You're telling me we need to stick with the treatment because I know that's how you get more money. That's how that bad boy works. And so in a world where you're force convincing me that this is the best way to address this problem and that, we need to put radiation in a person, then why is it so fantastical that a dog's just thriving, baby? You're telling me my little niece, she can thrive. She can thrive, no problem. So what's going on here with me? So I do appreciate that this is a new horizon, but I hope it isn't. Well, I guess it's just like gain of function, right? Like it's one of those. I hope we don't need it, but I guess we better be doing it, or else we'll regret that we didn't.
Well, it's like, think of it too. It's like, what, you're gonna adopt a dog from a place that's still uninhabitable?
Yeah, dude, that's
Like,
what's crazy.
I myself cannot live there, but I'm gonna adopt a dog that's been living there. You know,
Good.
That's cool.
And it's grandma's grandma
Right.
has been living there.
right? You know,
Those
it's,
eggs have been cooking,
It's
hard boiled.
it's just like strange. It almost sounds like it's not true that like you could actually adopt a dog from Chernobyl.
Yeah, it's so crazy that it's like, yeah, we could barely let people go there.
Let alone
And,
the vodka
and you
thing.
got to know a guy, but also buy a dog. Buy my dog. Dog soft. Dog soft where it has hair.
One pet and it just takes off a line of hair. No, yeah. I don't know, man. I think that's still do the scientific studies. Sure, don't stop that. That's kind of like the neat part of Chernobyl. But like,
But don't bring it from Chernobyl.
dude, if a G-man is gonna be watching me because I took a case of vodka from Chernobyl, or like you said, like a handlebar, no, thank you. You can keep it there.
Here's a metaphor. It's maybe less of a metaphor and more of like a literal parallel, but like Jurassic Park. Keep it on the island. You really don't need to bring it here.
Probably shouldn't make it a tourist attraction either, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point.
Yeah, that's the next movie.
What is funny though is if there was like a tourist attraction at Chernobyl, to where if you put a hazmat suit on and got to go on a trip there, if I was over there, I'd be like, yeah, I'm doing it. I want to drive through Pripyat.
Oh, you're crazy.
I want to
In
go
the
through
middle
there.
of the war zone.
And then guess what? When you find out that it did cook you, there's no one to sue. You just be like, oh, did
I
they get
signed
me?
the dotted line and I got a dog.
And I got it out.
Oh, at that point, I'd be like, I get to take a dog.
What's funny is like, and I'm hoping that at least someone listening has seen the documentary or, the
limited series.
Yes, the series
HBO
Chernobyl,
show.
because it was great. It was great. And what a
Not
great,
good,
like,
not great.
there you go.
What do you say?
I don't know. He was talking good, not great. Okay.
That's what they say throughout the entire show. It felt like, oh, the numbers, not good, not great.
But you said it with an accent too. That also.
Instead of Ukrainian, Russian.
So the thing about Chernobyl is great series. And it's not good, it's great. Check it out. But one of the things that like these people are experiencing is like it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And like everybody's boiling. Like my skin is not supposed to do this. It's just like melting off. They're like, all good. Hey, actually, Susan, get in there. He needs an IV. I should go touch him. Oh yeah, lick his boils. And then we're wondering why everybody's just like domino effect. But it's weird that we lived this experience where they're like, just trust us. And they lied, kind of like, 2020. But I went to law school right by 3 Mile Island in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And it's like my second year of law school. You're having drinks with, friends who have met people in Harrisburg and they're townies that have lived there. And they're like, oh yeah, government gives us a pill we take every year. Huh? Wait, what? Yeah, what? Nothing. They just gloss right over it. Like you do it for safety. Huh?
Is it like iodine pills, you think?
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah. I don't need to live there.
You want to adopt a dog?
Hey, we got
There's
this
20
dog
of
here
them
for
in
you.
Harrisburg.
That's what I mean. That's what's so funny about it. It's just like, that's 3 Mile Island. That's in this country. You went to school there for 3 years. You're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Dude, how about this? Oh my God. Thanks for these little memories that like, if you don't, you live like, just like the 2020 series, like if you are removed away from it long enough, you forget what you did. Dude, for 2 years, every time I went to the grocery store, and in fact, I'd go out of my way to go to the grocery store many a times to buy, I'd have all my groceries in one arm and at least 2 gallons of water in my hand. I bought water for literally 2 years. every time I walk to my car with gallons of water and ask a guy that works with me. I have a gallon of water with me every day at work. My goal is a gallon of water a day. So I'm literally walking to my car with just 2 days. This will get me through 2 days. I'm going to get to a 3. I got 3 in my hand. I got 3 days in my hand. That was life in Harrisburg.
And that's strictly because 3 Mile Island.
Dude, I was literally sick the first year. The second I got out of their water, stark difference. I didn't have the pill. That's where I'm at.
Oh, would you like a vodka, comrade?
But buy a puppy.
That's what I mean. Like it's so bizarre. It's like it sounds like they're doing honestly really great things from something that was such a tragedy 4 decades ago that could be beneficial to like future sciences and current modern day science. And then they're just like, get dog, drink vodka. And you're like, no, dude. And what's crazy, here's the thing. It's like when I heard you could adopt a dog, I'm just thinking, I was like, if someone in my community adopted one of those dogs and brought it here and then took it to the dog park and I found that out, I'd be like, yo, I would be bringing Clorox wipes.
Dude, every other white mom is pissed there's a pit bull in the neighborhood.
Dude, it's like, you know, when they bring like an invasive species into a new population and like it completely screws with the ecosystem. I think a radioactive German Shepherd from Chernobyl might have a minor effect.
Your dog is an Asian carp.
Wow.
It's just this invasive species just taking over the dog park.
And it's just so like, dude, I watched that series. It's one of my favorite series. And after watching that, I would be like, 4 decades from now, got a puppy. I'd be like, I'm never going there. Those poor people. The one dude, when you talk about it, he's like, he's growing like gills or whatever. It's like he looked like the dude from Monsters, Inc. when the suction machine was sucking on his lips too long and they were like 3 times the size. He looked like that guy. Puppy dog. Like, it's so bizarre.
All right.
Sorry, reeling in, but I...
No. I have to do these dogs a favor. And I guess while Silent gets his point, his wrapping thought, I could cue it up here. But these dogs do look cute. They're a regular
sure.
dog.
It looks like a normal dog.
We make the joke of like blotchy hair and like, but really that is the fantastic piece that's surrounding just their whole existence. They are just as normal as, and how about this crazy wild story? When I went to the Middle East, dude, we're in Oman and they have a rabid wild dog population. Me and Jake, my buddy, we need to get breakfast because we're going on this like long day, checking out a mosque and going into the mountains. All right. We need to get breakfast and it's be on the bus. The bus leaves at 7. So if you want to go get breakfast or like hit the gas station thing, you got to get there way early. So it's like literally just dawn. The sun's barely cresting over. We go about 2 blocks down to, this deli mart. Options limited. White bread with some mystery white cream. Hoping it's butter or cream cheese. Things are looking shifty, but we're rolling the die. You're in the desert. And you get a banana, because I don't know how they got there, but I know I like bananas. And we get and you need water. You pay your dirham, and we're walking out. And the whole time walking there, you're seeing like dogs just like come out of the walls. Well, when it came time and we walked out, the whole street is just covered in like these dogs. They're laying there like the Sphinx, just like looking at you like, oh, welcome to my house. And me and Jake are like walking to the taxi because like you just see like one get up like, and then they're just like, vroom, 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 and you're like, fuck. Oh, shit, there it goes.
You're doing so good, man.
We were doing good.
You were doing so good. We went through all the Chernobyl puppies.
Oh, darn. And, dude, when I say, like, on a dime, they all just sprinting at us, Jake jumps in the taxi. The dude in the taxi happens to be the bus driver and he saw us and just knew we were cooked. So he was out front, like, get in, and like flung the door open. Jake dives in. I'm getting in, dog on my book bag. We pull off. We go. Insane. We get to the hotel, and we're standing out front of the hotel because some of the slumber asses are still barely moving. And we're waiting for everybody to get to the bus so we can load up on the bus. One of the craziest phenomena. Again, I tell the story because it's just so foreign to the American experience. You see a dog in an electric fence that wants to lick you and give you hugs. We're standing there, and the entrance to the hotel is on the backside of the main street. So we're like on the backside of this, like with just alleys. And you can look down this alley to one of the streets that intersects with the main street. And we watched this little girl. She's just walking to school at 6:30 in the morning. And dude, 3 dogs out of nowhere just sick this girl. And you're like, do something. So me and Jake just start going there. And some guy comes out of nowhere and is just booting dogs. And the girl's crying, screaming. It was, dude, life event. Crazy. That man then dedicates the rest of his morning to redirecting the children going to school that day. Because the dogs just took over that street that morning. That's just their street this morning. And we're going to reroute because there's nothing else we could do. And then you're like, wow, all those Tom and Jerry cartoons about the dog catcher. I like that guy. Good guy.
Did you want to adopt any of them?
That's my point. That's my point is now double the cancer. That ravage beast plus microwaving your testes.
I just think you could put it in the living room, right? And you're just like, you put it in the living room and you're like, all right, time for bed. And you put it in the cage and you turn the lights off and it's glowing.
No. You know what's crazy is there's this whole new phenomena. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like gene flipping, where like
I've heard that.
Where people like are at home, you could buy these kits where you can literally manipulate your DNA. And there's people, and there's no laws against it or impacting it. So there are people that are taking DNA from glow bugs, flat lightning bugs, putting them in their dog. There are Americans with glowing dogs right now. So just add them to the neighborhood.
I don't like those people. I just hearing
Dude, Will actually came to support Missy and the rest of the Gurgat wiener dogs in their wiener dog races.
One of the coolest things, honestly, I've ever seen. Like that was wild. I couldn't believe it.
Some people take that lifestyle so serious. So we're in a barn in Ohio. People are racing wiener dogs. Imagine the evolution when you can do those at night. Glow dog racing. Sign me up.
You would alter your dog's DNA?
I'm getting a Chernobyl dog, Doug.
No, we're just.
Can we get a Chernobyl duck? Do they got any of those creeping around?
Doug, can we inject you?
I might already be radioactive. Who knows?
That's true.
Man?
We
All
do.
the
Very well
X-rays
could be.
and MRIs, airplane rides.
Professor Glass did turn into fully radiated. All right, Silent. Wrapping thoughts on this whole crazy thing.
I would like one radioactive dog, please.
I like the dog.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, this is like I said, it's a step in the right direction, and it's showing us how a lot of the stuff that we know about, like, fallout and radiation and all that stuff is we don't really know much, and now we are getting to know a lot, which is really good. And as I said previously, like nature heals, like nature finds a way, and it's a good sign, a great sign, I would say, that these dogs are not as messed up as they thought they would be. And I'm very glad that they are putting them up for adoption too. Like, hey man, if you need a dog and you're in the area, go adopt one. Like, why not?
Well,
Check your local laws
That's
first.
a fun thought, but like, let's just say
would never.
Let's just say the gut biome of a radioactive Chernobyl dog is radioactive minnows. Wait until that dog comes home and gets pet supply plus kibble. And then it's just like its gut just. But it's clean food,
Dude, you
not
know-
for the battery dog.
You know who needs these radioactive dogs? These Japanese families now repopulating. They could use some dogs, man.
Yeah, they could get some dogs. Yeah.
I think Japan's already got enough radiation going on, so I think we're good. I
All right,
think
PG,
Japan might
PG.
be good.
Why PG? I made that joke in silent to Will. We didn't go there.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate your point, Silent, because there's some legitimacy there. Let's save these dogs, but also
Positivity.
saving them. It's kind of one of those like,
Dude, it survived Chernobyl. I'm not adding anything to the safety.
Survivor at this point.
right. And so
That dog
again,
would teach me how to survive.
it would. And so I kind of wrap my whole this was a fun dialogue. And the only true takeaway is there's some really great scientific development that'll come from studying them and the other animals that have persevered in this environment. I mean, they're going to be like, how did Frankie in Pennsylvania do it? And how did this dog in Chernobyl do it? And they have the same voting capacity and everything else. So I think there's a lot to learn in all of these case studies, and we can apply it in many different ways. Let's just try to refrain from giving them law degrees. But I just, yeah, good times. Chernobyl. Rapid thought.
I just would like to, I would just like to see him and be like, oh, well, yeah, it's a normal dog. It looks fine. Like, what's wrong with it? Well, and then they throw something in the middle and it literally goes like bark, 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 bark. No, I'm not getting the dog. I'm not getting the case of vodka either. I love what they're doing with the studies, though. Keep that up.
Keep
it
that
over
up.
there.
You started,
Rapid thoughts.
I would not get a Chernobyl dog, and I definitely would not buy the radioactive vodka. As cool as it would be to have on my shelf, I'd rather not irradiate myself or my house more than it may already be.
Dude, imagine a Molotov cocktail with one of those. Just saying. Just saying. Like, hypothetically, it's probably the same thing, but you never know.
Fire and then just
It's a green flame.
That's what I mean. Like,
you're on to something.
that's the only thing I would use with it. Like, I wouldn't drink it.
They're like, that's why you can't have the bike handle.
You're just gonna throw it.
All right. Last topic of the day. I'm going to introduce it, but Doug's going to kind of take the wheel here, kind of like Jesus. The topic is Delta had to experience a stowaway hiding in one of their planes as of recent. And the weird scenario just continues to develop. This lady can't stay out of the news. So, Doug, what's the story?
Well, the best part is she was recently in the news again, so it's actually pretty great we're doing this. But first off, so it was JFK International Airport. So she tried to go through TSA without a ticket. They turned her away. But then I guess she went through an airline employee entrance, so they didn't check anything. She made it through that. And
Really?
Yeah.
So without a ticket.
That's what they're saying. In their investigation, that's how they figured out how she got past the TSA part. And then, obviously we all know when you fly, you're supposed to present your ticket at the gate. I guess the ticket person was busy helping someone else. She snuck past them, not having a seat. She hid in a stall, like a bathroom, the bathroom during takeoff, and periodically would switch to another bathroom. And I guess when they landed, they told everyone to stay seated. The cops came in, took her away. Best part is then I guess a couple days later, they tried to send her back. She started making a scene. She got removed from the plane, and they had to send her back flanked by French security and a U.S. Marshal, and then brought her back to the United States. And then there was this whole argument over should she get should she be released pending trial? And the judge was kind of against it. The prosecutor was obviously against it. But then they settled on certain conditions. She had to wear an ankle bracelet. She couldn't leave the area where she was staying in a friend's apartment, I think, in Philadelphia, and all this stuff. She wasn't allowed to go to an airport, turn over all her documents. And then just today, I saw on the news, when was this article? This was reported yesterday. She got caught trying to sneak into Canada on a Greyhound bus. So she cut off her ankle bracelet. Her friend that she was supposed to be staying with that was apparently taking responsibility for her reported her missing, just finding the bracelet at her house. Tried to sneak into Canada. And it's just like a never ending thing with this. First, everyone's like, oh my God, a stowaway. Then they're finding out how she did it. And now she tried to sneak out of the country again.
Very well presented, Doug. And the most hilarious piece of it all is when somebody finally sits down and gets to hear a word from this lady. They go, what's going on? What's the story here? She's like, they're after me. They're trying to poison me. It's a whole thing. And I'm on the run. And you're like, why can one of them get away with it? Like, she's not even it's not like a mastermind. Just a crazy schizo was like, is it?
Yeah. So it says,
yeah, it was not Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the other thing in here. It says she claims so this article says she has filed 2 lawsuits in recent months alleging that she is the victim of military grade chemical weapons and a kidnapping plot. So either this woman is more important than we know, having come from Russia, or she's got some sort of issue.
Dude, she was the one raising the dogs.
I gotta get the word out. Somebody's got to adopt these dogs.
I love knowing that she had an ankle bracelet on, and they're like, "How did you find her?" And they're like, "Well, we lost her somewhere over the Atlantic." It's just like,
no, she didn't have an ankle bracelet on before that flight.
She looks important.
It's after she got caught as a stowaway for Delta that they put the ankle bracelet on. And it's like Doug was saying, the prosecutor and the judge were against it. And the defense did so good that they prevailed. Who knows what they said or did, or I don't know who they know. But she got out. And immediately it was like, I'm cutting this thing. So here's her. I have a puppy. I have puppy. Big puppy.
You know what? Honestly, I think she might be onto something. I think she was at Chernobyl.
And they were trying to poison her.
I just like imagine being in there and be like, do you think we should let her go? No. Well, does she pose a flight risk and then someone in the background? Oh.
She is a quite literal risk on flights.
Yeah.
Like on flights, literally.
If she posed a flight risk, yeah, she's scaring me.
She's scaring me.
She won't get out of the stall.
I'm terrified. Silent, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, it's honestly bizarre. Like the ability of her to slither her way on like onto a bus and try to sneak into Canada. Like, I thought those ankle bracelets were indestructible and unremovable. Like, I thought you couldn't remove them, but I guess she found a way. So obviously,
a probation officer would tell you in a heartbeat, you could cut those like cake.
Oh,
Dude,
could
yeah,
you?
I mean, Shia LaBeouf did it in Suburbia. He did it really easily.
Oh wow. Okay, so I was under.
You'd think they'd be tamper-proof.
I was under the impression that those were tamper-proof and required like a special tool to be, open. But okay, I guess I learned something new today. And yeah, no, it's probably not something that you want to do. If you're wearing an ankle bracelet, you probably shouldn't tamper with it, let alone remove it, even if it's easily removable. Then, if that's the case, and yeah, like especially. Canada is a very, very strict country. Like, if you have a DUI or like any sort of prior felonies, you literally need to apply for very special permissions and fill out a lot of applications and do a lot of interviews before you can even just enter, even if you're entering for like an hour or two or just like a day or two. So I don't know why she chose to go to Canada in particular, but I just think this whole case is very, very weird, and you should definitely look out for this lady. Like, they should watch her. They should definitely watch her.
Well, it's like one of those things too. It's like, even if like she did make it to Canada, it's like there's hardly any like reason that they'd let her like find immunity there.
Well, she also handed over her passport, like all of her documents, to the court. That was part of her release. So not like she could have gotten in, and then unless she snuck in, and also like Canada's going to turn her back over to us to face charges. Like, it's not 100%. Like it's Mexico or something.
She could be trying to flee to the leadership of Castro's son.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Did you see her? She didn't look like she knew him.
Communism, baby.
She looked like she looked over the reactor core at Chernobyl and was like, "Whoa."
So here's what's funny is Delta can't miss my front tray being down or a seatbelt unclipped on a fat guy, but somehow you missed a whole Russian.
You know what? Like, pull that photo up of her again.
All right.
Like, she looks like she's up to something. Like, that's the thing. She's hiding it in her.
I have rights.
Also,
I got here. I have rights here.
I have rights, comrade.
I
You
don't
know,
have my
it's-
passport. They took
There's
it.
something about her look to where it's like, yeah, how'd you miss that?
I think if you survive the Delta Gulag, you're in.
Honestly, it's impressive that she did it more than once.
It's very impressive. Yeah.
The fact that she got on the plane. Impressive.
How do you? Okay, she is not a citizen. Okay, I'm just thinking legal system. What did you think she was going to do while she hung out for her next hearing date? I'm sure it's three weeks out.
Oh, so
She's just going to hang out at a McDonald's?
I reviewed
I'll be there,
the
Judge.
I reviewed the article. Her attorney told the judge, well, she's not a flight risk. Like, it's not like she can sneak onto a flight every day. It's like, well, apparently she found out how to get on a bus, though. So, same thing.
There are other motives of transportation.
It's not like she can sing on a
Modes of
plane every
transport.
day. Dude, it's crazy she did it once. What
That's
makes you
kind of
think
the
she
point.
can't sneak
Yeah.
on something else now?
Just like Jason Bourne and the guy from Taken, she clearly possesses special skills.
Yeah.
Mhm, clearly.
Honestly, look at her. She looks so qualified to do what she did.
And let's be real, we made our jokes, but that's such a blendable person. That
I
is
would-
such a background lady.
Dude, I would
Yeah.
With a big poofy hat like that, her face disappears.
Dude, you know the person that was distracted that was distracting the clerk as they got on. You know they saw her.
All right, real quick, while Doug was talking about her like hiding in the bathroom and like shifting from different hiding spots, I just pictured like the bathroom opening and you just hear just like from one bathroom to the next, just shing.
Well, it's like too. It's like, especially if like that flight was packed, right? So everybody's in a seat, and all of a sudden someone just comes out of the stall. It's like, where are you going? Where are you sitting?
Dude, just like Lindsay Phillips opens the gate. Hi.
Oh my god!
You tell nobody. Yeah, this is a
Dude, she went
crazy.
through TSA and didn't get in trouble. Like, actually, no, she didn't go through TSA. She stuck
tried
around
to.
TSA.
She tried to, actually got stopped, but then where the TSA failed was checking the airline personnel entrance. That's what they say. That's how
But like the
apparently
airline
she snuck
personnel
in.
entrance, is there a X-ray machine?
Again, you have mastered saving me from not 2-inch, but the 3-inch bottle of lotion. But you couldn't stop a whole
Whole
person.
person. A whole Russian comrade got on the plane.
Well, dude, I
With
was
a big hat too.
I was reading some recently about TSA, and I guess like they have a terrible percentage of actually catching stuff. Like
figured.
it's like 90%
Yep.
Dogger.
fail rate. It's
Yeah.
like
Let's
absurd.
have that.
I saw that article
Like-
too. Yep.
Maybe this finally presents the real dialogue about how TSA is a charade.
Theater. It's just
Okay,
theater.
so
yep.
it's theater. It is literally fantastic theater
Mm-hmm.
where look over here. Look at my dad used to do this as a kid to teach us not to be dumb. Look at the birdie. Look at the birdie. Bop. That's what they do. Look at the birdie. Look at what the sand people did to the tall buildings. Now, what I'm going to do is plant a bug in every person's home, be able to read every message you make and hear every conversation you have. But I'm making people take laptops out of their bag and take their shoes off. I'm trying. Now, if a couple bottles of lotion get by, oh well. And where are we at? A whole Russian.
It keeps reminding me of the Modern Warfare 2 mission. Remember, no Russian.
No
this one's
Russian.
on a
Oh my
plane.
god.
I just love they're like, Trump is an asset. We can't even stop a whole That is the ass. That is the person, the asset. We didn't even need to do a Trojan horse, not hiding in the horse. It's just the horse. They're like, yeah, I'm here. What's my pistol? I'm here. Come on in. We have peanuts and a half glass of Sprite.
You said the word.
What?
The orange man word.
He who shall not be named.
Voldemort. Gosh darn it.
You said it really quick.
Blip.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a funny story. Like, I'm not even that pressed about it. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, TSA sucks. Like, I always thought they sucked. I just find it like as such a failure. Like knowing like you already said no, you can't get in. And she was like, I'm going through your entrance. Went through your entrance.
Well, think about it, guys. What do we always say? Like if you're ever worried, it's just like, you got to be confident. You know, she probably just walked like she had.
Dude, she didn't look
purpose, like
confident
she
at
was
all
meant
doing
to
it.
be
She
there.
probably looked so squirrely. She probably was just like looking over her shoulder. Like she probably looked so suspicious doing it the whole way. And no one noticed because look at her. Look at her. Like she probably looks suspicious right there. Like, why are you looking at me?
Yeah, that hat is
Like,
just very suspicious.
She's
too.
not getting like she's not fooling nobody, but she fooled everybody. Everybody.
I
Dude, even
like
the person
cheeseburger.
sitting next to her was probably like, you haven't been here the whole time. Where did you come from? You took off like 10 minutes ago. You weren't here.
All right, everybody take a seat. We're about to do a seat check. Hello.
Dude, I love the idea of the plane hitting it's a Mach speed and she's just on the toilet. You know that's what happened. She
just
was
holding on
Flight
for dear
attendants
life. Yeah.
Wrapped in, and she's
dude, she probably put her legs up. She'd probably sit on the toilet, put her legs up on the sink and like push back like race.
for freedom.
Just for him to land and be like, you gotta go. Now you gotta go. Dude, they probably offered her snacks. They're probably like, do you want like
Got a little
peanuts?
hot
I have
meal,
a
yeah.
Sprite.
I'll have a Sprite.
Yeah, it's so. God, I want Saturday Night Live isn't funny anymore, but they should do a skit about this.
Oh,
Yeah, like-
it's honestly hilarious that it happened, but it's sad.
So, Silent, give us your wrapping thoughts on this whole thing.
Yeah, this whole thing, as we said, it basically shows the holes and the flaws of the TSA and how it's all theater. You know, it exposes it yet again. This has been just like Doug said, like there's been a very recent article about how people would try to sneak in like false certain illegal things. I'm not gonna say what they are, but you get what I'm trying to say, like in the bag. And yeah, the fail rate is like 90%, which is terrible. Like
It's pretty bad.
That's really, really bad, you know? And this Russian lady is once again adding insult to injury on top of that report that just came out recently. And it's confirming that the TSA is just all theater.
And
Yeah.
then also coincidentally too, there are reports coming out. Like I've been seeing stuff saying the TSA is going to be like changing their liquid policy, allowing you to bring more on, as they should, because like if
Baby
they
oil.
can't catch other stuff, why not bring
Yeah.
liquids on?
You might as well be
Bring a
able,
whole
yeah. And the
person
whole
on.
take off your shoes and take off the laptop too. Come on, guys. It's 2024.
They
The-
do
the-
have
the-
new
the theater's
machines now
over.
where you don't have to. I just flew. Cleveland Hopkins has one of these.
Doug,
and it's
I've
great.
gone through one TSA where on a given day, they're like, nah, you're good, just go. And then on another given day, it's like naked now.
Yeah.
Dude,
Belt
when I'm
off.
here-
Yeah, yeah.
When I
mhm.
was flying through Seattle, all their machines were broken, like all of them. And so they straight up just gave up. We're having us all walk through normal old looking 1970s metal detectors. I'm like, what is this catching? Like, why even bother
Yeah.
having us stand in a line? You might as well just let us head right to the gate.
Yeah. Agreed.
So wrapping this thing all up, I liked Silent's point about how it highlights the holes in the TSA system. And again, we recognize that the whole thing is a charade, but imagine being one of the workers that, you know, you're in Denver, you're at a totally different airport, and you just like look at the news and you're like, oh, my life is going to become so much more of a hemorrhoid now. Like, oh yeah, we want Oculus scan, thumbprint. We need to know it's you blowing this to make sure you're sober. Like, it's probably going to be so much more strict as an employee. Like, for now, that honestly, I love this. I love this because I am imagining the TSA is on the other end. They love effing with us. They're just like, hey, You look suspicious.
Don't look
Come on.
suspicious and
Boom.
don't look suspicious.
And then it's just like and they get the glove and they're ready for you. Now that guy's got to now you got to take your shoes off. Now you got to go through all these hoops just to get into your job because one Russian broke in. I don't know. But my last thought I'm going to have before I toss to you, Will, is this. What if she's telling the truth? Like, what if this lady is living a Jason Bourne movie and we're all just laughing at her and going like, Delta, figure your ish out. And the whole time she's like, I am running for my life. The government is trying to kill me. I have the cure for cancer. And we're like, you should have imagined her holding on in the bathroom.
That's what I mean, man. I love knowing that somewhere, someplace in this country, she got some poor suspect fired at TSA. You know, like it's so.
I've always thought he looked goofy.
And even if she's right, wasn't it like what last year? Like that woman on the plane was like, that person back there is not real.
Yeah,
People are wilding out on planes.
Oh,
I kind of love this. I love the idea of her cutting the ankle monitor off. Like this woman's wild. Like she's great. Like I hope this is not the end of her story.
Oh, it's not.
Exactly. I don't care. She could be Jason Bourne. She could be schizophrenic. One of the two. One of the two. I don't want it to be anywhere in the middle. That or that.
And you're still a fan.
She's great. Dude, I just, like you said, I just imagine everyone strapped in, buckle your seatbelts, people just, it's going to be fine. And her just in the bathroom going like, free as that thing just goes off. And she's smaller than me.
Right.
Like this is a tiny person. Her leg probably couldn't even reach this thing. And she's like, and then knowing we're preparing for landing.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And somebody's like, I have been hearing noises in that bitch. And there is something in there.
There's somebody in the freaking bathroom, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know that someone had to go right when the plane took off. And they were like, all right, you can finally get up from your seats. And some probably obese man was like, oh my God. And gets up and goes to the bathroom and immediately sees someone walk out. And you know, he was like, what the hell? And then he went back to his seat and she's in it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I just picture her crawling under the seats.
Dude, I want her to have a name on social media, some nickname.
This is going to be like Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
Judy Bourne.
Judy Bourne.
Judy
and it's
Bourne.
a bug-eyed Russian lady. Hero. You exposed TSA, finally. Hero.
Doug, wrapping thoughts on your great Delta story.
I actually think it's hilarious. Just perfect that she was also happened to be in the news again yesterday. A whole nother level to this hilarious story is she cut it off and then tried to sneak into Canada on a Greyhound.
Yeah.
Like just a whole nother level. And so like, Will, I do kind of hope it's not the end. Sadly, I don't think she's getting out on like release again. I think she's in jail until the trial at this point.
She literally proved the flight risk was a real thing.
Yeah. There's no Johnny Cochran smart enough or slick enough to change her situation.
Oh,
so again, this isn't the end of the story, but boy, it's been a fun one.
Who was that dude who hijacked that plane back in like the 70s? And
DB Cooper.
Maybe that's DB Cooper.
And speaking of like hot topics that are relevant right now, one of the other news topics that's been floating around this past week is how this family is hell-bent on claiming that their dad or grandpa was like DB Cooper. And it's like,
I've seen that.
No, even if it was, no one will ever accept that.
Yeah.
He's larger than life.
I don't want to.
Yes. Right. No, he's a mystical character now.
I don't want to. He's up there with the Loch Ness Monster. Like, he's not real.
This is Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah.
Straight up. And she got caught.
There's Mrs. Cooper. Sometimes they call her Judy Bourne.
What if this whole time we thought DB Cooper was a man?
Dude, you know.
And now she's just trying to come back.
I like to think that they caught her in Canada and they're like, who is it? And all of a sudden the CCTV like zooms in. Some dude is like, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
Takes the glasses off.
Dramatically, and it's just bug-eyed.
Yeah.
Right at the
I'm
camera.
supposed to be here. Okay. This has been a fun one. Guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Silent, as we close the episode off, tell the people where they can find you.
Kick.com/Silence Destroyer. We're live every single day.
And I appreciate you joining us for this as well. So again,
Of course, thank you guys for
as
having me.
always, thank you for hanging out in the wing. Guys, be sure to check him out because he's doing fun stuff on Kick almost literally every day. Also, guys, if we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best thing you could do to support this show is like, subscribe. If you liked it, someone else you know will too. So please share it because we're fighting algorithms that don't want to get in front of other people's eyeballs and getting in their ears. So help us. Again, the best thing you could do to support the show, if you had any enjoyment, is share it around. But otherwise, guys, we go live every week, normally on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. But for the next 2 weeks, because of Christmas and New Year's, we're going to be going live on Mondays. So next week, please join us Monday at 7 p.m., where we'll be going live. We'll have the live show, and, depending on how far we get, maybe we'll do Friendly Feud or something fun, but we'll definitely have something fun for the holiday episode and then plan on that for the following week. But Doug and I go live on Sundays. It's our reactions channel where Will's joining us. We do football, and then waking up in the morning, the hour before that, we do just funny internet videos. So get away from all the craziness, have a little bit of a palate cleanser, and get a break by checking out our reactions channel. But with the podcast, the live shows, and everything else, you can find it all in one central place, and that's at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. So cheers again to everybody that joined us. Again, the whole purpose of the live show is to get you involved. So thank you to Ricky, who sadly couldn't be here at Just Another Day TV, and everybody else for joining us and adding comments, because that adds a whole nother dynamic to the Rethink Tank, and that's why we do it. So otherwise, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.